Hello everyone. This video is for uh, professionals, security professionals who are aspiring to certify uh, with ISC2 in the cloud security professional certification, which is one of the sought after industry security certifications. And it is, a vendor agnostic certification in the industry as well, as compared with some of the others, and it's kind of rated up there with the best. You all know about the ISC2 CISSP, which is a premier gold standard for security, and which is all encompassing in terms of the domain coverage. It's quite in depth and broad. Whereas the CCSP, on the other hand, is focused on cloud security domains specifically, and it's considered more of a technical certification, more of a test of technology, cloud security technology, and domain expertise. So let us walk through my journey, and hopefully it helps you in your journey in achieving this certification. And I would walk through some of the areas that typically are not walked through in these kind of tips and tricks types of videos. And I'm by no means an expert trainer or anything. You always should seek the advice of a professional trainer or a certified trainer with ISC Square or ISC2, uh, you know, for any professional training help. This is just a guidance video, in my personal opinion, I would say, and hopefully it helps you in your journey. Now, what are the prerequisites? This is the part that's often overseen by most people. Um, you know, you have to keep in mind that the CCSP is a uh, vendor agnostic cloud security exam, and it is essentially a technology domain expertise test. So, you know, essentially, this is for people who are aspiring to work hands-on in cloud security in the engineering space, defense, threat intel, security architecture, security and risk management areas, right? The traditional domains, and it essentially helps you gain that on, firsthand, gain the firsthand knowledge required to work hands-on in these domains. So it's a technical exam as compared to, I would say, you know, the domains are all focused on technology areas only, and there are some others that are focused on technology as well as other domains that are non more functional domains, whereas this is more technical. So, first you have to judge yourself, right? As a prerequisite, you need to have good knowledge on web infrastructure concepts. How what is the n-tier architecture? How do you stratify typical infrastructure of a website in the enterprise, right? An enterprise ready website. You need to be aware of these concepts. What is the network tier composed of? What are the various network segments? You need to understand various deployment architectures. Um, you know, how the load balancers are deployed, firewalls are deployed, how they make up the various requisites for a successful deployment of an enterprise application. What is the role of an application server, a web server, proxy server, load balancer, router, switch? These basic concepts, are important to understand cloud concepts. Yes, cloud is nothing but a shared infrastructure, essentially, right? So, cloud is essentially a deployment of a large scale infrastructure uh, in a vendor provided facility and a data center spread across multiple regions in the world for high availability, resiliency, and scalability. And that's all it is. It's essentially a large scale replication of the on premises infrastructure that your enterprise may have, if they have one. And for that, essentially it's an extrapolation, and it's actually, you know, basically uh, commoditization of the uh, large scale infrastructure by the vendor to be shared by multiple tenants, right? And capitalization of the same, right? So essentially, so you need to keep that in mind and ensure that you understand basics of web infrastructure concepts and NTR architecture, um, and your experience level, or you need to have experience or high level of knowledge in computer networks, at least programming, software development lifecycle, and cloud architecture. Such as what are the various types of cloud deployment models and cloud services, right? Infrastructure as a service, software as a service, platform as a service. These are the various service types. What is a hybrid cloud versus a private cloud, versus a public cloud, and what are the various nuances, shared responsibilities model, deeper dive into the various technology areas, and how they are, stratified in terms of responsibilities, what type of work, is done in the cloud, how the cloud makes it easier to, basically deploy infrastructure, maintain infrastructure, automate the life cycle of infrastructure management, um, essentially making it even less complex in terms of uh, you know total cost of ownership, in managing and running your enterprise applications in the cloud. So these are important to know, and I think you have an idea on what I'm referring to. Ensure you build your foundations first. If you're not from a technical background and you are considering moving to this area, and you want to prepare for the CCSP, then I would suggest you ramp up your foundational knowledge, buy books, that are useful in these areas as well. In general, there are quite a few out there for sure. Um, the head what is that Head First series kind of gives you a good jump start on all these areas. They have various Head First series books for networking, programming, etc. Those are good things to start with. So you need to understand that you need to have the basics covered. Don't ignore that if you're coming from a non-technical background. And if you're coming from a technical background and you have all these skills, then you may even consider directly going into the material to specialize on CCSP specific domains, as you already have the knowledge. Hands-on experience. So is this is an area that you should consider, because it's no big deal now to log into one of these big three cloud providers and look at try out a few things. You get good deals to create, simple deployments, etc., small scale applications. So you should try that. If you don't have any hands-on experience, you should try this. Try signing up in one of these big three providers, and try out the ecosystem. By deploying an application, creating an application, etc. Play around, and there are even some courses that may be useful for you that supports your CCSP studies, such as Microsoft Azure may offer a few courses, AWS. These may be more affordable as well, and you can ramp up your hands-on as a part of it. And that will help you. For those who don't have the exposure to the cloud directly, or may not be as experienced in that area, you know, you should consider that and ensure that you get a feel on what you're getting into uh, before you take an exam like CCSP, which is more going to test you in depth in the conceptual knowledge, the cloud security specialized domains. And I would say, in general, 5 years of experience will expose you to much of these concepts in an IT role. Even if you don't have that kind of experience, that doesn't really it's not a showstopper. Although you need that at least 3 years of experience, I believe, to certify. If you don't have a CISSP, then you need and qualify from an experience perspective. And that kind of information is available and updated by ISC2 in their website. So you should reach out to find out your experience requirements. But even if not, you can still take the exam and pass it and gain experience. You'll get an associate certification. You still have passed the CCSP if you pass it, and then you can gain the 3 years of experience once you start working on cloud concepts and cloud security domains. That's another way of doing it. So it doesn't. I'm not discouraging you if you don't have experience. I would say go for it anyways. That's what I did for my CISSP. I was working part time. I was doing part time security roles, and then I moved to full time. And then after I got my CISSP, I moved to a full time role, and then I gained experience, and I also had my part time experience to show, and that's how I got my CISSP certification. And the once you get your CISSP, it covers for the experience requirements for CCSP also. So similarly, you can, if you're interested in getting into this area, go for it. And I would say don't hesitate just because you may not have that experience. You can still gain it once you get a job, and you can still gain it even if you are doing part-time work in your current role. So keep that in mind. Okay, that's about the foundation. Now, the books, I myself, trained on the ISC2 material directly, and I'm quite experienced. I have 20 years of experience in the industry, and I do have technology knowledge. I'm very strong in the technology area. I have a CISSP as well. Um, because that is important. As I said, some of these things, prerequisites, I did not have to go through. I went directly to the material, and I primarily used the ISC2 material only this time. And you know the I found that to be sufficient. I did not have to read anything else. uh, and basically the CCSP CBK, and it's not like CISSP where it's huge, vast. It's not a very thick book compared to CISSP, but it's specialized. So it's actually there from an effort perspective, lesser effort than CISSP for sure. I would say 40% of the effort, or even lesser. Um, the book itself covers all the domains, but it gives you that conceptual deep dive, right? And then you can supplement it with other things I talked about. So the CBK, Common Body of Knowledge, official study guide, and the practice tests is all I did. And I also went through, I had the luxury of the LinkedIn Learning official CCSP online course, and that was also very useful. And it kind of gives you a review of what you study, although you still need the book for sure. Okay, so if you have the foundations, go through it directly or go through the foundations as I said, and then do these should be enough, in my opinion. My experience, I have not read any other books for this, but there are others who recommend other books also. But I would say CCSP, take it as a technology certification, right? Be focused and be sure whether you are strong enough in the concepts, as I told you. That's what is important. And hands on, try to, as I said, get a feel of the platform. Try logging in, looking at the various cloud providers, get a free account or something. Or if we have the luxury in the company to pay and get something, get it, or you can pay yourself even, right? If you're running some infrastructure in the cloud, you can try that. you know, Try to deploy a web application to your public cloud tenant and configure it from a network capacity, security, and compute perspective. That will give you an idea on what you're dealing with. And most of these cloud providers are very similar based on my knowledge and experience, and you should be able to relate to the concepts once you get a look and feel. If you feel that you are lagging behind in the conceptual area, you might want to spend more time to ensure you are comfortable. Um, and that leads us to the next one, which is actually how to do this right. Basically, these books are, at least CCSP books. Once you get into the CCSP domains, once you're comfortable with the foundations, you can get into the CCSP domains. And basically, my technique was to read it, cover to cover twice, and I'll highlight all the points in the book itself, and make sure that I highlight, things that are important. And when I read through again, I'll just go through the concepts that are highlighted. So it's very important. The first read that you highlight the important points, and then the second read you will basically be reading those points only, and the third read and subsequent read you define it further if you need more. And going through that is very important, as I said. The online trainings and other things will help you to a certain level only to refine your skills, I would say, or give you revise, but it's not going to help you to actually gain the in-depth knowledge. Okay. And test yourself. Test yourself 3 to 5 times at least. I tested myself, and it's only when I found that I was comfortable in all domains, and it will also give you an idea on which domains you are weak in, and you can focus on those and try testing again if you see any improvements as you read more. Read the CPK also fully, cover to cover. Read the official study guide fully, and try taking some of the online courses if possible. Um, and once you when you're comfortable and you're consistently passing within time and scoring over 80% or above, then you should be okay. I think that's what I did, and I was passing over 80% or above, and I went and sat in the exam. So I think that will be a benchmark in my opinion. But the more practice gives you that exercise of attending and completing in time. Although the actual exam, I definitely would say, is tougher than the practice for sure. Even for CISSP, if some of you are aware, it's very tough. The actual exam is tough, and same with CCSP. But I'm a techie guy, so I did not find CCSP as tough as compared to CISSP. That's just me. And ensure you time yourself. That's very important. I found ample time in completing the exam. So, I'm sure you should be, once you practice sufficiently, ensure you're able to time and complete the exam. So that's about it. And I think this is kind of a new perspective in some areas that I gave you, and hopefully it's useful for you. Let me know in your comments. And I'll also put a link to my video for CISSP in the comments if you're looking for that one as well. Good luck.